Katie again, picking up where I left off. Every state that participates in PAD, beginning with Oregon, the first state to sanction PAD, includes a stipulation that a physician or consulting physician must confirm that the patient is of sound mind or is capable of making decisions. The definition of capable and what a doctor must deem as capable is up for can be very subjective. So this state decided that they were going to add an addendum 127, chapter 127, further defining what capable means to make sure that there was no confusion and avoid some moral issues. One of these things that stipulation that it includes that communications through persons familiar with the patient's manner of communicating, those persons, if they are available, can also communicate the message. What are the components that go into deciding if a patient is competent relative to the decision of death? Competence requires capacities for reasoning and deliberation. An adequate standard of competence will focus primarily not on the content of the patient's decision, but on the process of reasoning that led to that decision. They must know and understand what that request entails, including alternatives to that decision, and can express what their desires are. Other states have similar stipulations to try to avoid this moral slippery slope that is possible with a law such as this. I feel that these guidelines effectively ensure that one is not able to act rashly in the heat of the moment, and that it is the decision of the patient, hindering possible effects of someone attempting to gain from the patient's death. These people have to ask for this decision for PAD in 2 different times, and they must have a certain amount of days in between. This death is supposed to be humane and supposedly painless, which at times, keeping these patients alive is the less humane, more painful option. If the patient decides that they want to endure the pain and continue the fight, that is their right to make that decision. This decision is an admirable and courageous decision. Another courageous decision would be to choose not to endure it and thereby regain control of their fate. One does not belittle the other in my opinion. The North Carolina House Bill 789 end of life option does just that, puts the patient back in control of their care. I think that the bill is an important piece of legislation and that it should be passed by the House for approval to the Senate. If there were small changes needed, maybe leaning towards the Netherlands bill where you need more than one doctor to agree and further defining the terms like Oregon did, some of these moral issues can be resolved. I do think that this decision needs time to get it right, as I believe that there are not enough options and choices for people that live in constant fear and pain. Why is it acceptable to euthanize dogs who cannot express their wishes and yet deny this mercy to people that are begging for it? We need to stop being so paternalistic when trying to make these kinds of decisions for people. We have a duty to the patient to do no harm. For someone who is determined to end their misery, our intervention, which precludes that, can be considered as doing harm. Thank you.